I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode number 86. Now we're going to change things up this week with the DC Comics New 52 approaching 1 year of existence, and September being the month when all the Zero issues ship. We thought this would be a good time to kind of do a year in review and a look back on the DC New 52. So we're going to give you, a couple of different perspectives. I mean, obviously we work in comics retail, so we're going to give you the comics retailer perspective, but we're also fans, so we're going to give you the fan perspective too. And we're kind of just doing this on the fly, so bear with us if we stumble and trip a few times and have to refer to our handy-dandy DC New 52 primer that came out last year. But just some general thoughts that I would like to share with all of you. I think the New 52 is a success. From a retail standpoint, it has brought new customers in. It brought new faces into our store, people who had never shopped there before. Some stuck around for a little bit and took off again, but more actually have stuck around. And they've branched out into other comics besides DC Comics. And that was, I think, not DC's goal. I mean, I don't think they were hoping that people would come in and read their stuff and then read other people's stuff. But those of us that were looking forward to it and maybe could see it for what it was, knew that a rising tide would lift all boats. So you have, comic sales are up this year over last year. Comic sales are better now than they've been in a number of years. And you have people who came in who were either lapsed readers or new to comics to try the New 52 because of the marketing that was done. DC had a great marketing plan. They made co-op commercials available to retailers, and we ran those here locally. And so we brought new people in. They read the DC stuff. Many of them have stayed on board with DC, but they're also reading Image, and they're reading Marvel, and they're reading Dark Horse, and they're reading IDW, and everybody else. So, that's definitely a positive from my perspective.
Yeah, and I think from a fan perspective, it's also a success. One of the most irritating things in the world for me as a comic fan is when I come in and the new book's not out, or when I know the new book has been pushed back a month. For 1 year, the New 52 have been almost completely on schedule. A few books have shifted a week or two, but for the most part, everything's come out on time. They've had to do some creative team juggling, but if that's what it takes to make sure I have Superman every month, I'm absolutely fine with it. And on average, the stories were all really solid. They didn't just do it as a marketing effort. They did it from a pure storyline standpoint. The characters that changed substantially and changed for the most part for the better.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at DC sales pre-New 52 to now, almost without fail, all of these titles are up over where they were before the relaunch, before the New 52. I mean, Batman is a great example. We are selling 3 to 4 times the number of single issues of Batman that we were before the New 52. Justice League is in the same boat. So, again, almost universally, every title that's still around in the New 52 is selling better than its predecessor, which, is great for everybody. It's great for fans, it's great for retailers, and it's great for DC. Unfortunately, some of the books didn't stick around, and those are the ones that we could have, we predicted from the beginning this is never going to make it. But I have to applaud DC for at least trying. They tried different genres. They tried, and some of those are still around. They tried Western with All-Star Western, and that's still around and still a really solid book. They did fantasy with Demon Knights. Still around. Still around.
Getting expanded with the new Sword and Sorcery book coming out.
Yep, featuring Amethyst.
Oh yeah, Princess of Gemworld.
They tried War books, and that's the one that was the Achilles heel. For a variety of reasons, the War books are just not catching on. Even the most recent attempt at it, GI Combat, I think its days are numbered. It's only a matter of time before that book gets canceled. They tried some diversity in the comics. We had African American characters in Mr. Terrific. We had a straight African character in Batwing, which is still being published and still a really good read, and a great member of the Bat family. And so I think they accomplished their goals. I think if we were sitting here right now with Jim Lee and Dan DiDio, after Josh punched Dan DiDio in the face, we would. They would tell us that yes, the things are going the way that they wanted them to go.
I'm anticipating a shot from the tip of a battleship carrier with a banner that says "Mission Accomplished."
And as far as overall successes, I mean, I think everybody would agree. Well, let me just say, in our store, the best-selling of the New 52 is Justice League. It was from the beginning. Justice League #1 was our was almost our best-selling single issue in the 7 years that we've been open, second only to the Spider-Man Obama issue. That sold more copies. So Justice League #1, which is not... The other one was a promotional stunt. This one, yes and no. But Justice League has consistently shown big numbers. It is still, right now, our best-selling DC book, followed very closely by Batman. Mm-hmm. And, for Justice League, I think it's a combination of things. You've got Jim Lee on art, which is always going to sell. People love Jim Lee's artwork. And you've got Jeff Johns writing. And Jeff Johns is a known commodity at DC. You know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get great stories. And that's why Justice League is selling so well. Now, Batman... I have to attribute that, again, to having a really solid writer and a really solid artist. Having Scott Snyder on Batman and Greg Capullo doing the artwork. That's what happens, folks. Publishers, not just DC. You put an A-list writer and an A-list penciler on a book, you ship it on time, you tell good stories with great art, and it's going to sell. People want good stories. They want good artwork. They want to escape. They love comics. People love comics. It's a fact. They may not know it yet. And they may not admit it on the street, but if you put a good package together, it's going to sell, and that's what DC did, especially with Justice League and Batman.
And it'll be interesting to see, as we're going in, starting in the next few months, we've been hearing rumors of changes. We're going to see Jim Lee possibly off of Justice League, and we'll find out how well Jeff Johns can stand on his own, although he is getting some good backup in the form of Ivan Rice on art.
And I should preface this by saying that these are rumors. We don't have anything confirmed, but they're fairly strong rumors at this point. That Jeff Johns and Ivan Rice, both of them, are leaving Aquaman after issue #16. But Ivan Rice is jumping over to Justice League to take over for Jim Lee. So he'll be staying with Jeff Johns on that book. We've heard that Andy Diggle is going to be taking over the writing chores of Action Comics at some point down the road when Grant Morrison leaves superhero comics forever, which is what he said he's doing. Just recently, Rob Liefeld has said, "That's it, DC. I've had enough. For my sanity, I must quit DC Comics." So Liefeld will be leaving everything that he's doing, which is Deathstroke and Hawkman and Grifter. And I hate to say it, Grifter, but you're on that list of books that I am amazed that you're still being published. Just not because it's necessarily bad, but the sales numbers are dismal. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Grifter get cut from the team.
Yeah. And I salute you, Rob Liefeld, for leaving, because that has helped restore my sanity.
Be nice.
All I'm saying is Deathstroke was like one of my top 5 New 52 books, and then Liefeld had it.
All right. So there'll be some changes coming up. We've heard that January is kind of the target date when there might be another wave of cancellations, another round of cancellations, some more creator shuffling around action, and DC has hinted that next year is their first big company-wide crossover event in the New 52. So still a lot of exciting stuff happening in DC. People are fired up for the Batman family, for Aquaman, for Wonder Woman has been a really consistently great book with Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. The consistency, I think, is what we've seen from a lot of this. The Flash is consistently good. Catwoman is consistently good. Nightwing is another one.
Oh, great book. And it's probably worth mentioning. Aquaman is maybe the best success story. Oh, yeah. Batman is selling multiples of what he was selling before, but Aquaman couldn't even hold down a book for decades. Aquaman series gets canceled, and then right out of the gate, Aquaman's outselling most of Marvel's monthly books. It was just an amazing turnover, and it's good to see that people actually care about the quality of a book. That if a book is good, people will buy it. You have restored my faith in humanity, comic fans.
Because many times we see books that are good that you don't buy. I don't know. So again, the New 52 is taking I don't want to say a month off. Excuse me, I just ate lunch. I shouldn't film this after I eat. But September is the 1-year anniversary of the New 52, and to celebrate, DC is doing all 0 issues for the month of September. So issue number 12 of all these books came out in August. Issue number 0 comes out in September, and we're back to sequential numbering in October when issue number 13 ships. A couple other things we didn't mention moving forward into October. We've got John Layman, the writer of Chew, is taking over the writing chores on Detective Comics, so that's a perfect opportunity to jump on board. I mean, I haven't read Detective probably since issue 2 or 3, and I'm coming back to check that out because I love John Layman. I love his work.
Chew Layman.
On Chew. You've got Scott Lobdell and Kenneth Rocafort coming over to Superman, starting with issue number 0 and then moving forward, and I'm back for that. I want to see what they're going to do. Superman's been a little hit or miss for me, so I'm looking for a really solid team to come on there and make me want to read that book. And some other big creators, they're going to be moving on and entering the New 52 and moving to different books. So lots to look forward to. The 0 issues, again, we've mentioned this before, are origin issues, kind of setup issues, stories taking place before the first issue of those books, hence the 0 issue. And it promises to hold some great stuff. I mean, since they've jiggered around with the origins and some of the continuity in the DC universe, I'm really curious to see what they do with these. And all the covers are going to look the same. They all have kind of that same backdrop with the character ripping through issue number 1. So I'm excited. I think fans are excited, and I can't wait to see what they're like.
Yeah, the 0 issues should be great. We're also getting, what, 4 new books? Whose first issue are going to be during the 0?
Is it 4 or 5?
It's, what, Team 7?
Team 7,
Sword
Talon,
and Sorcery,
Sword and Sorcery, The Phantom Stranger. That's all.
I think it's 4.
It might be 4.
Maybe it is 5. But
So these new series are starting with their 0 issues in September, and then they will all have the first issue. They will all have number 1 issues in October. So another opportunity to get in at the ground level with these characters. Talon, I think, is the one that most people are looking forward to. It's co-written or co-plotted by Scott Snyder with one of his actually writing students, James Tipton, I think. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Doing the writing, and it focuses on a rogue Talon that is seeking vengeance against the Court of the Owls. So that sounds cool. Dan DiDio, DC co-publisher, is writing The Phantom Stranger, and if you're an old school DC fan, if you're a Silver Age fan, you're going to want to check that out for The Phantom Stranger. And also it's supposed to tie in with Pandora, the mysterious female character that we saw in all of the first issues of the New 52 books, and ties in with the Free Comic Book Day edition that came out last year?
well, this year.
This year.
This May.
Yes. This past May. Time means nothing to me.
Like the Phantom Stranger, Mark lives outside time.
Yes.
But speaking of time, as it relates to the New 52, I think a lot of times when you're buying Jeff Johns, what you're getting is sort of a Silver Bronze Age sensibility. And I really like that we're seeing that in some of the other books as well. You know, the Justice League Dark is consistently reintroducing characters we haven't seen in a long time. This week's issue had Dr. Occult in it, who I haven't seen since Gaiman's Books of Magic, I think. He may have been in some stuff in Vertigo, and it's very exciting to see these old characters come back and to be revitalizing them and actually using them in a meaningful way. And it's awesome.
It is.
Books are great.
The Earth 2 book is exactly that. I mean, taking these Golden Age characters and bringing them into the 21st century, you know, younger, you know, newer, you know, so that it's all new for us too. Even though we've been reading comics for decades, you know, I can still pick up Earth 2 and enjoy it because of the newness of it. There's enough familiarity, but there's enough new stuff that makes me want to read on and find out more about these characters. So, that was kind of an impromptu year in review of the New 52. What did you think? What do you think right now? What are you thinking of the New 52? Did you check them out? Are you sticking with it? Was there a book that you really enjoyed? Is there something that you really didn't like? Let us know in the comments. You know, that's where the discussion happens on these things, because there's no discussion here. It's just us talking at a camera. But we want to hear what you have to say. And we will be back probably to normal next week with our comic news.
Normal for us.
Comic news, reviews, and previews. But until then, we'll see you next week.